फॉलो कर रही थी एट सम पॉइंट. आई थिंक वी आर.
Okay, wonderful. Great. So good, yeah. So we'll catch up on this 100% for sure. So once you're in Delhi, we'll definitely look forward.
For sure.
Vishal, let us know when you're going live. Yeah, so we'll catch up on this 100% for sure. So once you're in Delhi, we'll definitely look forward. For sure.
Mugdha ma'am, Sonal ma'am. So
Yeah.
now
Yeah, let us know when you're going live.
okay. So I mean, I have already, uploaded the live on YouTube. So you're live now on YouTube. And now I'll be ending the practice session. We'll go live on Zoom also.
Sure.
Okay. So I mean, I have already.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the Naretko Mahi session, which we generally do it every fourth Friday, where I generally pick up topics which are more related to women. And initially, we were talking about startups, valuations, and everything, but I think health and fitness is something which is very close to any woman that you're talking about today. Not only for women, it's like, it's very common for everyone. But when it comes to women, they generally take it little light. Because वही होता है, deadlines at work, late night, Netflix binge when you're talking about never-ending course, rough time with the kids or heavy downpours are some of the very few reasons, which we already find out that to avoid workouts or to avoid spending time on ourselves. तो हम जनरली यही होता है कि जब भी सुबह कुछ अपने लिए टाइम निकालने का होता है तो हम एक स्नूज बटन डाल देते हैं कि नहीं हम लोगों के पास अभी टाइम नहीं है एंड वी हैव अदर प्रायोरिटीज टू लुक एट. But I think, that is something which we need to strongly discuss about, that unless and until you take out time for yourself or focus on yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. So you have to make yourself, your health, your mental well-being a priority if you want to take care of rest of the things associated. So to discuss on this very important topic, I have Mugdha with me. So Mugdha, welcome to the Mahi session. And to just briefly introduce Mugdha, Mugdha Pradhan, she's the CEO and founder of iThrive, the world's first integrated wellness platform. She is a two-time TEDx speaker and has been invited on coveted stages to deliver talks and in sought out leading with an MSc in nutrition and having studied human resource management at XLRI Jamshedpur, she's built a rich and diverse experience of over 22 years, not just limited to nutrition, health, and wellness, but also in leadership positions in the corporate world. Her vision is to evolve into the highest spiritualized self while integrating her energy into material world in absolute surrender to divine. Wow. I would only say wow. And iThrive is being basically started just to achieve this mission. And I must say, she's doing a commendable job. I was just discussing with her on the kind of client she's been working in, on the kind of courses she does. And I think, it calls for a lot of dedication to put in so much of time, too much of energy, not only from the weight related issues, but right from your scratch, anything that you talk about, she works from scratch on that. So welcome to the session, Mugdha, and it's a pleasure for us to have you here.
Thank you so much, Sonal. You always like the introduction you do is like, and then I'm like, am I really all of these things? But thank you for the lovely intro. I'm really looking forward to this session, though I must say, like, you spoke of all the points that I was going to talk about. Why women don't take care of themselves, why we don't have time, how we don't prioritize. सब तो बोल दिया आपने. So let's see what else I can contribute meaningfully to today's session. But thank you so much for having me here.
It's a pleasure, and we will just start with a couple of questions, which before starting a session with you, I had in my mind. So I thought, I'll just jot it down so that I don't miss on anything. So, first thing to begin with, what are the main social cultural factors contributing to health inequality among women in India? And what measures are being taken to overcome these barriers? Matlab, it's like, it's a general tendency within
Yeah.
Indians, especially women, that they don't take care of themselves or, they don't prioritize themselves. So what are the some inequalities from your thought process which are there, and how do you think we can remove these barriers?
So now what happens now there is also how we've been kind of raised, like the entire conditioning from childhood is towards ensuring that I mean it still exists, right? It's still that pervasive that it exists, that it's all about making sure that the other people are well taken care of. See, innately as women, we are extremely nurturing. That is our deep quality. We really want to care for other human beings. It's like mothering is a biological imperative, but that biological imperative also translates at a mental, spiritual, emotional level. We really want to take care of people. I remember seeing this social experiment where they put like a group of boys in the same age group, like teenagers, and they put a group of girls in separate homes, like without parents. It put these two groups. This was in the US. And the group of boys, within like the first 3 days, it descended into anarchy and chaos, like someone beating each other and all complete chaos. And these are like, I think between the ages of 10 to 13 or something.
Okay.
Each group of girls put into another house. Like first the girls just became familiar with each other, and then in 3 4 days it was like they were braiding each other's hair. Somebody was doing something like food, another person was no one gave instructions to them, but naturally the groups
Bonding.
formed into these behaviors where the boys were like absolute like aggression and fighting and dominance and that alpha territory kind of game, and the women just became a community, started nurturing, started caring. One girl was missing her mom, so the others were holding her and like she was crying. So it is beyond like as an adult you're going to do this. It's something that's very deeply ingrained in us to nurture and to care for each other. Now, the disadvantage of that is that when we step into our current modern day lifestyles, where time is a very scarce and a sacred resource, money in a lot of situations has a similar this thing, like it is scarce and sacred for a lot of people. Energy also, like just the amount of energy and the willpower and the motivation you have to do things, all three have become scarce and to a point sacred. So
Absolutely.
the question comes like, can I use these three resources for myself, or there are other people who are also simultaneously needing these resources? The woman often makes this sacrificial choice of doing it for others and not investing those resources on herself. Conditioned like that from childhood, biologically already programmed, repeatedly seeing those behaviors in the environment, seeing our mom, seeing our aunts, seeing our neighbors, seeing our dadis, nannies do the same kind of martyrdom kind of behavior, and we think that's the right thing to do. So it's a multi-layered, multifaceted thing. Plus patriarchy itself. Like for so many centuries, patriarchy has come and constantly attempted to make women feel like secondary humans. We shouldn't be allowing that to happen, but there is so much programming around that. No? So it's very hard to find the resilience or the strength to push back against it all and say, no, I come first. And that is why, in the end, what we see as a symptom is that the women are not taking care of their own health, and like health might be going down the drain. We'll do the short term things कि चाय पी के एनर्जी आ गई, कुछ तो करके गोली खा के ऑफिस आ गए, all of those things. But the emotional, ancestral, socio-economic baggage around that is so immense. It's very hard for a woman to fight against that.
Absolutely. But how do you think, we can overcome these barriers? Because I understand, that you've been talking about that, yes, it's inbuilt in us, क्योंकि हमने अपने culture में यही देखा है.
Correct.
Okay, you have to take care of the family, you have to take care of surroundings around you, you have to take care of everything else except for you. So, but हम ये barrier remove कैसे कर सकते हैं? What are some things, which you suggest that probably we should think about, or so that we can overcome all these things?
So it starts with like that desire. Like without that desire, it's really impossible. But कहीं से अंदर से there has to be a voice saying that you deserve better and you have to take care of yourself. Sometimes you might have that desire, but you won't know where to go. That okay, my health is messed up, something is going wrong. I can feel like I'm fatigued, and I can feel like either the weight is coming up or I'm not feeling as energetic through the day, but you don't know where to go. So first is just really like for me, my own life, because by 37 I was suicidal and ready to kill myself and also extremely obese and all of that. The first turning point was that desire inside that if I continue like this is not going to work. Like I can't continue like this because I'll die otherwise soon. So there came this desire from within to want something better. Now, why women won't sit and think about this desire is again too busy with life. So it's like a chicken and egg situation, but it's that. So even if you just sit and like just 5 minutes out of your day, if you just play some basic music and just think, what do you want for yourself? This will start emanating because you're creating space for that desire to emerge. So once that emerges, once that desire comes, then yes, my recommendation is look for people who can really give you the right kind of knowledge or who can help you on that journey, because for a lot of women what happens is they start off but then they're alone. And when you're alone, see, you're going to fail. Like I have failed, I think,
Motivation. Huh.
yeah. So you will fail in being able to take care of yourself. Some emergency might happen at work, some emergency might happen at home, or you might not, you might follow some wrong information, try some smoothie and everything, feel even worse. And then like you'll be like, this is not helping. So the tendency to give up also comes in. So first the desire might come that I want to fix my health. But because you've not found the right knowledge or the right accountability partner or the right resources, you might try something and it doesn't work, so you might give up on yourself, which is even more dangerous. Because अभी एक ख्वाहिश आई थी, you tried something,
Demotivate हो गया.
demotivate हो गए, so you might just give up. I've seen this with a lot of women. So find somebody who can guide you through the journey, because this is not meant to be a solo trip, for sure. I can tell you from my own personal experience. After that, the other thing is the why has to become clear. कि क्यों करना है? Because if you do it just for purely aesthetic, which is also okay, it's your body, your choice, you can do whatever you want with it. But what I've seen works more for women is if they have a stronger sense of why. Like a woman who says that, okay, I am doing this for myself, I want to take care of my health because 10 years later, for my children, I want to be really hale and hearty and I don't want to become dependent on them. Or say that like, for me, in my own case, why is my health so important for me? Because I really intend to live a long life and do a lot of work. Now, until my last breath, whenever that is, I want to be really physically fit and like not be challenged by my body itself. So different people have different reasons, but the stronger your motivation to work on your health, the easier it's going to be for you to be on that path. Then the resources will come in, the time will come, the money will come, the energy and the willpower to do it will come. So having a very strong why, I think that's like first though the desire that something has to change, but then
And
why,
why?
that becomes important.
Why you have to do it. Yeah, I think why becomes the most motivational factor. क्योंकि जब तक आपके पास वो why नहीं होगा, आप वो effort भी नहीं करोगे.
Because the government can create hajar schemes. You might have the best practitioners giving. All this information now has become really easily accessible because of the internet. So you might find the best books, but if your why is not clear, you won't be able to apply that for yourself.
Absolutely. I think, very well pinned here, Bugda. So, because, unless and until you're clear about why do you want to do it, आप उसको हफ्ता भर करोगे, आपको result इतनी जल्दी दिखेगा नहीं. Because, obviously, things which have accumulated from years, you cannot see results in a week or a 10 days.
You
So you have
cannot.
to understand it's a journey and you have to follow that path. to see
And
some.
it's not just about that one time. See, for example, I lost weight in 2017, 2018. From 97 kgs, I became 60 kgs and everything. Health was like superb. All good things. But in 2021, like end of 2021, as life is, and it teaches you through challenges, I experienced a very deeply difficult emotional situation. And even like the first 6 months of this year have been extremely challenging. So what has happened is I reverted to, let's say, some of my old coping mechanisms, which was emotional eating or like not really taking. All of us go through this, okay? So it's not like you achieved it once and it's over. I'm not sitting on some top of a pyramid or top of a mountain saying Mukti Pali, abhi no health issues. It happened again. But if I say that, oh, ये sustainable नहीं है, एक बार मैंने extremely good health achieve कर दी and उसके बाद I've collapsed again, and if I give up, then that why, that purpose, that until my last breath I want to be healthy, that I will never accomplish. But because I have that very strong impulse, I'm like, okay, it got messed for a year and a half or two, but I know how to get back on track, and I'm going to use all the help I have to get back on track. So
And once you've done it, so you're always motivated. कि ठीक है, you can do it again.
yeah.
That motivation factor is always
Yeah, so the motivation is there, and like that accountability partner. So where my struggle was also was with like being able to stick to it, because so much emotional chaos was going on. Like I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be processing things in the mind. I'd forget to make my lunch dabba and come to office. They'd be like, "Where is my lunch?" So I literally I signed up with my own team and I told the nutritionist who's assigned to me, "Ki Baba, I'm struggling. I need your help. Please be my accountability partner. I know the technical aspects. I know which supplements. I know what to eat. But I have been struggling with getting on track, and there is no better team than this team. So I'm paying you money. I transferred money into the company account yesterday, and the team is like, "What did you pay us for?" So I need an accountability partner, and you guys are going to be that. So everyone needs
because
it.
you've paid, you will make sure you follow it now. That happens, yeah. But unless and until you put in that money, and accountability does not come.
The point is the money came because my desire was so strong to want to make that change. Otherwise, I might have put that money into something else, not travel or a holiday or something.
True.
You're like, no,
Exactly.
this is important. I want to invest in this.
Absolutely. I think very well said. I think the why and the motivational factor is very important for anything you start with, not only health, it's not only fitness. So if you decide to do something, you have to make sure that why and what motivates you to do that. So only then you'll be able to achieve it. Great. So that takes me to my second question here. What are the key health challenges faced by working women in India, particularly regarding nutrition, reproduction health, and the mental well-being? I think mental well-being is very important thing apart from these two things which needs to be covered. Especially I don't say that stay-at-home mothers don't have mental health or stress issues. They do have, but their set of challenges are very different from what the working mother has to go through, because there she has targets to achieve, she has teams to manage. So I think the challenges are more as compared. So what are the things which need to be taken care of?
Yeah. So I'll get into the mental aspect, but because like it's a great question. See, for example, many years ago, the primary health challenge that women in India used to face was maternal mortality. Like they would lose life during childbirth. That was the biggest challenge. What has happened now, we are seeing also with clients, is primarily a lot of women show up with a lot of either like type 2 diabetes or elevated blood sugar issues, a lot of reproductive health issues, lots. So PCOS, PCOD, irregular periods, and there's a big connection between mental health and reproductive health of women. So we are seeing women show up with diabetes kind of issues, diabetes and then the weight gain that accompanies it. We are seeing women with a lot of reproductive health issues, and repeatedly we are seeing women show up with a lot of iron deficiency anemia. So I think there is because we also do genetic tests. Wherever we've done genetics for Indian women, we've seen that there are a lot of genetic mutations in the iron regulation mechanism. So I suspect as a subset, like as like Indians, as women, we are primed for iron deficiency anemia. But then that anemia triggers a lot of other health issues, like from fatigue and energy issues, because iron is required for your energy production, to immunity, to even like the aesthetics, na, hair and skin and everything.
All this is related.
So the three big things that we see in women, no, now four, gut health is becoming another big thing for a lot of women. So deficiencies, especially around iron, and then vitamin D and B12 deficiencies. Second is diabetes, blood sugar issues. Third is PCOS, PCOD, and then thyroid. How could I forget thyroid? So thyroid is the fourth big issue that women in India are experiencing, and gut health. So what is happening is primarily these are the chronic illnesses that are manifesting in women, and work can trigger worsening of this. How so? So gut health, for example, if you're someone who's like got a super busy work life, like I gave my own example, I forgot to make lunch only one day. I was busy processing something in my head in the morning, but I know what to order.
I can understand. So it's like, being a founder, it becomes very complicated sometimes to manage too many things.
But I know at least if I'm ordering from outside what to order. For a lot of women who are working, they usually don't have time to eat breakfast. They might just eat something quickly or just chai and biscuit kha liya, and then they'll come to office, Zomato, Blinkit. So you might just be eating on the go based on your hunger signals without realizing what you're supposed to. Now, if your gut health already is messed up, maybe you've taken antibiotics, maybe you don't have the right kind of microbiome, and then if you're eating like this because your work schedule doesn't permit you to eat better, your gut health is going to become worse. Similarly, for thyroid, maybe you have an iodine deficiency or selenium deficiency, or your thyroid is just slowed down. If you're not getting enough sleep, if you're doing a lot of late night calls, if there is a lot of work stress, so cortisol, which is a hormone which is released in the presence of stress, has a direct impact on thyroid function. So maybe if you were like at home and just managing your health, your thyroid would have improved faster. But now, because of this added layer of having to work and not having better sleep, constantly feeling stressed, like not getting enough time to even maybe hydrate yourself and drink, your thyroid health can become worse. Same with this PCOD, PCOS. See, our reproductive cycle though is like the most beautiful thing. It is literally attuned to the moon cycles. If it starts happening the way it's supposed to, you'll see like it'll be a new moon, full moon kind of a cycle. And it's one of the most beautiful things that happens in a woman's body. It's like an orchestra. It really is like an orchestra that one hormone gets released and this happens and this releases a follicle. But again, this cortisol stress hormone, it can go and interrupt the process. If you're not eating enough, if you're not getting enough protein, a lot of these hormones are not going to be made. If you're not getting enough sleep, that entire system can become dysfunctional.
All related.
All related. So the impact of a high stress work life or the impact of not having enough time to be with yourself at home, cook good meals and eat, it is an exponential impact when it comes to health. So you have to do extra work, and the irony is now you have to invest extra time and energy, but where is the time and energy going to come from? Because anyway what caused it is like so that, and then if we look at the mental health aspect, Sonal, so I was reading some research papers this morning because we were looking at what's really happening in the corporate world in terms of people's physical and mental health. There's a report from Deloitte that speaks of a 14 million or $1 billion loss because of employees' mental health triggering absenteeism at the workplace. Can you imagine the economic impact of the fact that you're not feeling good in your mind
and you're working?
Either you're working, so that's presenteeism, you're coming to office but you're not able to focus, or you're just like not showing up, like you sent a message to your manager in the morning, hey, I can't come. Either ways, that is causing such a large scale economic impact. Now, why would this be happening? Why would we all be struggling with so many mental health issues? One is, again, there is a physical layer. If you have a vitamin D deficiency, nothing else is wrong, only a vitamin D deficiency, you are going to end up with a low mood, you're going to feel depressed, you're going to feel lower energy, you're going to feel
which is very common within Indians, not only women and it's very common within Indians, that vitamin D deficiency, it's a common thing now.
Yeah. Same thing with B complex, like your B1, B6, B12, all of these are B complex vitamins. All of them are required at your neurotransmitter, like literally the happy chemicals your brain is supposed to make. These are the base molecules for that. Now, if you have a deficiency of these, what's going to happen is your brain's not going to get the raw material it needs to function well, to make happy chemicals. The opposite of that is going to happen. You're going to sit and feel sad. Plus, stress. Now, if you're choosing work, I see this with a lot of women, like they've chosen careers, let's say, that seemed either promising monetarily or seemed like the right thing to do as deemed by the family, like me, मेरी बेटी engineer ही बनेगी, but बेटी को बनना था yoga teacher. So, a lot of women are in professions that are not of their liking. They do well. They do really, really well because they're
But they're
gifted.
not happy about it. Huh.
But under say, na, they are like not experiencing the joy and bliss of participating in that kind of work. Now, every day, if it's a battle between your mind, with like, between parts of your mind, ki chalo aaj office jana hai, but another part is saying, but this doesn't feel fulfilling. It's a fragmented mind. It's not going to
योगा करेंगे आज हम ऑफिस में जाएंगे आज हम योगा करेंगे
So that is one, and then third is like if also like this responsibility of child care, child rearing comes along with a full time. So a lot of women go through what is called as mom guilt. Like there is a biological desire to want to be with your baby, or even if it's a toddler, or even if it's like a tween and all. Teenagers don't care. Teenagers will like nikal jao mere samne se. But until then, at least you have this thing that wanting to be with your child biologically, emotionally, but you also want to build your career and you also want to do that. Sometimes for a lot of women, that conflict, plus if the family is going to do a lot of emotional atyachar around it, na ki kaisi maan hai, or whatever, that adds, right? So many reasons why women are going through a very, very large degree of mental stress now, and there is still stigma around it. It's gotten better, but no one speaks up openly about it, and no one says like I'm just having a really bad day and leave me alone or
a
just
lot
do
of people that's what no, a lot of people don't even speak about it because they feel कि किसी को समझ तो आना नहीं है so what is the point so
this fear of feeling judged now ki if I
fear of being judged. Fear
yeah
of being judged is another thing, because it's been inculcated in us that, it's your responsibility, you need to take care of it. And when we go back and say, so it's like, we are made to feel like कि आप अपने responsibilities पूरी नहीं कर. So that's the biggest challenge.
that, and then this thing na that superwoman has gotten glamorized,
Yes.
superwoman has gotten glamorized, so everyone wants to be that. So if you're not that, you're not perfect. If you're not perfect, then you have some flaw, and no one wants to be flawed. And also, like, see, if you look at corporate environments, it is still kind of very competitive. It is. As it is in India, like the gender bias is still very strong. Women do not often get the same kind of opportunities or the same kind of growth rate as men do. It still exists, the gender disparity. Now, in that situation or in that scenario, if you express that you're feeling vulnerable or if you're feeling kind of not so great and you show weakness, you are going to be out of that competition. So a lot of women,
Obviously.
so a lot of women just suppress how they're truly feeling and just show up with a very strong front. I was in the corporate world many years ago, so I know what that feels like because
But ultimately, it boils down. How long can you prolong with that kind of thing? So I would only say, that besides anything, it's more important that you should feel happy about it. So anything that makes you happy, just go for it. Ultimately, you can't please everybody around you. So whatever you're doing, do it just because you want to do it and you are 100% sure about it, not because that what will people talk about it or what will I be branded as. So who cares? Today, if you talk about it's more important that you should feel good about what you're doing, be it with family, be it with work. You should feel good about what you're doing today. I think that's more important. Great.
it really is.
So this takes me to my third question here. With non-communicable diseases like cancer and cardiovascular conditions becoming more prevalent among Indian women, what steps need to be taken to enhance early detection, prevention, and treatment? So,
Again, that's a super great question, and there are many reasons why both these conditions have increased in women. Like even cardiovascular events were more of male territory and less of women's territory until many
yeah.
years. See, what the kind of environment we live in now, it has changed dramatically. So, very high level of, like when we speak of cancer, for example, a very high level of environmental toxins are coming in. Our food is super contaminated now. A lot of it is genetically modified. Pesticides, fertilizers, all of these things being sprayed, and just not eating the right kind of food anymore. So, this is having an impact on our genetics. It's triggering mutations. With cardiovascular events, a lot is to do with the food itself that we're eating and the lifestyle we are living. So, wrong kind of like inflammatory foods, too many seed oils, not having all the nutrients we need. So, biochemistry going wrong then eventually triggers cardiovascular diseases. In addition, in the last 1.5 years, because of the COVID vaccine, like there are now research papers that are
I've
proven
heard a lot about it. I've been reading a lot about it.
a lot of side effects. So, vaccinated people are showing up with a lot of like more recurrences of cancer, and like the Covishield vaccine that was given here is now also being called clot shot. So, it's triggering heart attacks and all that. So, you have that variable, the vaccine as a variable, plus environmental factors,
Lifestyle.
all of that. Okay, so now given that all of this is going on and we are in this soup of our health, what can we do? That's the question that you ask. So one is get blood test done. Because see, you won't know what's building up inside your body unless you test for it. Because bahar se, especially with the heart thing, what I've seen with a lot of people, even the people who suddenly died, like young people exercising and all, you're doing everyday
A lot
life.
of few cases, yeah, where the people are fit, exercising, and they just collapse. Yeah.
So this is not something that's happened today. It has built up over time. Now, either the arteries are like inside there is plaque forming, or your blood ka viscosity, which is like the thickness of that is increasing, or maybe small microclots are forming. These things are easy to diagnose if you do the right kind of blood test. So get blood test done and see what is going on in terms of are you being primed for a heart event because of what's changing internally. Similar with cancer, there are a lot of basic tests that will tell us if the inflammation is progressing to the point of it becoming cancer. Like neoplastic or that kind of a growth has begun in the body. We can, like even with basic blood tests, just looking at your B12 and your inflammatory markers and all, we can find out if that is going on. And if at all that's going on, then there are more tests that can tell you that is there a cancer activity going on. So, see, until you diagnose, you won't know if something is going on. So, blood tests every 6 months, I recommend it to everyone now because things are changing very fast. Get your blood work done, understand what is the status of your body, and you might even find that maybe nothing is going wrong in terms of cancer and cardiovascular health, but deficiencies here. So maybe you can change your diet, and you can make life better for you. So blood test, understanding that data accurately and seeing what's going on, and then making interventions based on it. Not just कि blood test करके रख दो side में. Take action, do the intervention. So you can literally prevent both these diseases. You really can. They are preventable diseases if discovered in time. But often with cancer, though, most people discover it too late. And then they have to go through the regular hospital, chemotherapy, radiation, all of that chaos. Heart, still sometimes I find people are more informed. Like the worst is when someone just passes away suddenly, like nothing you know about what is going to happen, and then
That's a very common scenario which has been coming out nowadays, and that's very scary. Where somebody is just perfectly fit and fine one day, and tomorrow morning you get to know that he's no more, and there is no illness, there is no symptoms, nothing, but it's just a cardiac arrest. So all these things are very scary, and I think that's something which needs to be taken care with the regular health checkups that we're talking about. So here, when we're talking about doing blood tests or these health checkups, so how frequent this needs to be done, or how do you suggest?
no, once every 6 months is good, especially if you have some kind of a health crisis going on or something messed up inside. But let's say you fix everything and like you did a test now in 6 months, then you started doing interventions, you started making changes. For our clients, we do three because our program also is a 3-month program. So we do at the start and the end of 3 months, we do another round of tests. But you can do every 6 months, see how much has changed, and if sufficient improvements are there, and if like now all the negative things have been taken care of, then once a year also is a good idea to repeat. I do like sometimes every month I check some parameter because I'm doing all experiments on myself. But once in 3 months is my standard for myself. For a lot of people that feels excessive, but once in 6 months is what I would recommend.
At least you are keeping a track on any
Yeah.
changes in the body, and especially I think women around 40 plus needs to get it done very regular. So that's the way, because there are a lot of hormonal and imbalances that starts after 40, 42. And if you get it regularly checked, there are a lot of things which can be taken care at the initial stages, like you were talking about, where probably rather than getting it diagnosed at a later stage and then getting into bigger messes, it's always better keep a track on it at a regular checkup basis. I think very well said there. Okay. So my next question here is, what are the recent initiatives addressing the stigma and the environmental impact associated with menstrual hygiene?
So, I mean, at a government level, there are a lot of initiatives that they've taken, but like something as simple as even the movie that came, I can't remember, it was called Padman or something. So, movies like that, because movies do tend to have a wider impact than just a government policy or a government change, but the government has this thing to kind of address menstrual stigma and discrimination. What is also happening at a corporate level, I'm seeing in the workplace is things like menstrual leave has come in. Sometimes, like one company had approached us to help their team with menstrual, like the entire reproductive health. Like they saw that a lot of women would struggle during period days, pain, cramps, all of those things would happen. So these were happening at a corporate organization-wide levels where webinars and awareness talks were being done.
Interesting.
Yeah, so now companies are becoming aware of the fact that you can't just ignore those 5 days out of one of your employees' life because every month it's going to show up as a recurring thing. And then also now what's happening, Sonal, is a lot of awareness is coming around products itself. So even like eco-friendly or not eco-friendly, but like organic napkins, cloth pads are coming back in, menstrual cups. So these companies are creating their products. So somebody's creating menstrual cups, somebody's doing cloth pads and all, but they are marketing their product. But in their attempt to market their product, they are creating a lot of awareness.
At least they're thinking about it. That's more important.
So because now there are a lot of companies that have entered this particular arena, like in the healthcare sector itself, taking care of menstrual hygiene and menstrual care products. They create a lot of awareness campaigns, and because of that, the women are becoming more aware. So especially with these natural products, organic pads and all that. The impact on the environment through like our use of the earlier version of all these sanitary pads, and these are not degradable. I mean, we dispose them, but they stay in landfills for years and years. So because of these new products coming in, this wave towards the menstrual cycle itself becoming more eco-friendly, we are seeing a change there. And yeah, I'm very happy with the corporate level initiatives that are coming in. Instead of blindly thinking all your employees are just one robotic set workforce, understanding that maybe 30, 40,
They
50
have their own requirements.
are women who go through these monthly cycles and something needs to be done to support them. So a lot of places have like hot water bags and relaxing rooms, like the new age companies, not the older ones. But or even like keeping disposable like in our office, so we keep organic cotton pads. So if someone's forgotten and like they come and they have a crisis, then they don't have to be embarrassed and all that. So there's a lot of sensitization that's happening at a corporate level also now.
Okay. No, I totally agree. It's like, all these companies, although they may be taking as an initiative to promote their business, but the good thing is at least they're thinking about it. हाँ, ठीक है, अब government का initiative है, or whatever things that they talk about. But the critical thing is at least people have started thinking on those perspectives that this is something important which we need to focus and work on. So even the thought from that side, I think, would create a lot of change in the process. I think that's critical. Great. So, how effective has Indian companies been in addressing women health and well-being in the workforce? What are the latest trend in the workforce health initiative aimed at supporting female employees? I think you've taken care of it in the previous question also, where you've been talking about probably, that the Indian companies have started thinking about
Yeah.
policies,
I
guidelines.
honestly think if you have to look at the effectiveness, not enough things are being done because what a lot of them are attempting to do is just do awareness webinars. कि कोई आके talk करके जाएगा, or they'll have like a maybe some
Implementation नहीं है. Implementation नहीं है.
implementation is not being done in the right way because what we have realized with our work with iThrive is every human is unique. Every human has their own bio-individuality from genetics to like diet and lifestyle and childhood upbringing and everything. So you can't do a one-size-fits-all webinar and leave it there and assume that now your employees are going to suddenly eat better and do better and have better health. Like a lot of corporates do these what's that called, like wellness checks, blood testing happens and maybe they might have doctor
It's very
consults.
common now. Huh.
And all these insurance aggregator platforms are there. So along with corporate insurance, they will also offer these packages like a doctor's consult or something like that. But I still see there's a lack of the right kind of approach. Now, I'm so passionate about this, and like obviously all of us feel like our way of working is the best way. So maybe it's coming from there also. But I really do see a gap. Like it could be done in such a better. It could really be done in a more holistic way, doing like a root cause approach, supporting, doing a longer term intervention, which truly offers the women employees the opportunity to make a change. And if it is done in the right way, where it's done in the group dynamic, then women are anyway community oriented. So imagine you do a program that's run over a longer period of time instead of just a single webinar or something like that, where as a group you're taking them through a journey. I can guarantee the outcome is going to be way more effective than the current practices that are being employed. कि एक डॉक्टर कंसल्ट कर लो, टेस्ट कर लो, एक वेबिनार कर दिया, वो it's not enough. Like it can be improved like 10,000 times more than this. But at least awareness has come. People are focusing on it. And every time awareness comes, then change starts happening. So I am looking forward to corporate India really changing the approach to not just women's health, but like overall, like
Overall.
the employee health and their well-being itself.
No, I totally appreciate that, and the kind of work that you guys have also been doing on with the corporates on for their employees, so really appreciable. And I don't think there are any other companies at your level who've been focusing on complete health or fitness there. And yes, even with us, we had last year just to mention, that we have been from last 2 years been working on RPL. So RPL is like Resurgent Premier League. So the main intent was there, कि ठीक है, people will at least get involved in fitness. कि वहाँ पे हम लोग matches खेलते हैं. Sometimes we are playing cricket. We have teams which we build on. So and create a healthy competition there. कभी हम cricket खेल रहे हैं, कभी हम basketball खेल रहे हैं. Every alternate Saturdays we will plan that way. With the only intent was that people should focus on fitness. So I think it was a good initiative which was taken by us and a lot of other bigger corporates I know who have been working on employee fitness and their mental health and everything. And that's a very, very positive sign from the new set of companies which are coming in there. Great. Okay, so that takes me.
Fun though.
Yeah.
I said that sounds like fun.
That sounds like super fun, Mugdha. You should come to office sometime to see. It's like, everybody used to be so excited about those RPL matches and stuff. And now,
You have your RPL, we have our IPL, like I Thrive Premier League, right? So,
oh, that's
yeah,
interesting.
it's,
That's very
it's fun.
interesting.
It's fun. Group game sports is always fun.
Yeah. So it's like, now we haven't started this year till now because everybody has been occupied with too many things. So the people are actually waiting कि कब शुरू करेंगे. So we still to start with that. But last 2 years, it was planned so well. We used to have auctions where, people used to bid and stuff. So that was the process, but very interesting. And I think, that keeps the team also very engaged and motivated. That was the thing. Great. So, takes me to my next question. How has the rise of digital health platforms transformed women access to healthcare in India, especially in rural areas? What challenges and opportunities do these technologies present?
Well, I honestly don't know the answer to this question, Sonal, because see what happens is because of the nature of our work and the focus area and the focus groups, mostly we're working with urban women. So I like I was thinking about this, like when you're asking also, do I know of like what digital health transformation is there? I really don't know the answer to that question, but I do know this much that like in terms of policies, there are quite a few policies that have come in, including making like diagnostics and all a little more accessible at the rural thing. But I don't know if there are any truly
Technology.
digital technologies that can be used for health that are being implemented at a rural level. I know like these we have these primary healthcare centers and the PHC, so this is still like an offline thing. Like there are doctors, there are these clinics that have been created. Digitally, I don't know how much intervention has happened and what is the impact. If someone is doing it, then I again see because of the industry I work in, I'm connected to other founders. So I know founders who are doing like these ambulance programs and like you can book your ambulance through an app wherever you are, even rural they'll reach. Then there was this person who during COVID had launched, and I mean it's still a pretty successful model. It was named after Hanuman. I can't remember the exact name, but it was this like ambulance with some kind of primary service available in the ambulance for people who are far off who didn't have city access. So people have done those things, but I don't know in terms of like an app that is giving health care to rural women if there's something that's already existence. Like I don't know. Sorry, like
So
maybe
I think then there is something which should be taken action on, Madhab. Then, there
maybe something
already
exists and I'm not just aware
after
about it. Like maybe
then
just
maybe it's not that big क्योंकि अगर कुछ इतना बड़ा होता तो probably people and especially with you guys coming from the same sector I'm sure you would have known about it or if it was something big at least people would know about it so that's the catch here then I think that's a very important thing which needs to be taken care because urban women कि ठीक है यार मतलब we are all very tech savvy we can do Google searches find out stuff हम लोग सब कर लेते हैं but when you're talking about rural women that has to be taken to that level where at least these kind of things can be made more accessible to them so I think that's a good startup idea for anybody who wants to do it today so if there is not much of competition there I think people should definitely think on those perspectives from the urban side, how do you think, from the urban areas that you've been working across, how do you think digital has impacted more?
Oh, there I see a lot of support. Like there are a lot of companies that have now created app-based, AI-based ways to even address lifestyle and diet and all of that. Even like Healthify Me, which has like now been there for the last 12 years, it's entirely, it's always been tech and you can just go log in. But what I realized when I was reading up an article, I was researching data because we were also, like I was telling you, thinking tech and we want to see what level of tech and what level of human interaction needs to be there. So in India, apparently what happens is people still don't take to DIY and AI models so much, like especially when it comes to health. You want another human to talk to. So, but I mean, that's the research of the market, but there are a lot of companies that have come already offering AI-based, tech-based solutions for anyone who wants to work on their health. So there are a lot of solutions for that from the urban perspective. Whether they work or not, that's like the next thing. But
So I'm sure they work because if you're looking at Healthify Me itself, they've done a good amount of business in
yeah,
last.
they've been there. Like they've been there for 12 years. Even like others. There was one Chennai-based company that was entirely doing this like AI-based work around
I'm
health.
sure I think these would have flourished more because of COVID coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but people are there. They have users. People are using their platform or their products or their apps, and people are seeing good changes in health. So that's always a great thing.
True. Great. No, that's very interesting to know because, I think technology and health, if they can correlate somewhere, so it's going to be a very good boom for the sector overall when you're talking about health. But yes, like I said, I think then somebody has to come up with space where it can be taken to the rural areas more from educating them or making it more accessible to these guys. So I think that's a
Also, in rural, see what happens, let's say in an urban environment, if I download Healthify Me and I'm looking my calorie, protein tracking and all, I have access to the foods I should be eating. If I have deficiencies and like, let's say iThrive's app comes up, you upload your blood tests and we say, oh, just get these nutrients in, get these supplements and do. You have the resources to be able to do that. In rural environments, it's much harder to implement the kind of practices. Like sometimes there the struggle is just like good quality food itself. Making sure that's happening is a different kind of challenge than the kind of challenge like that happens in urban. Like I keep telling people in urban environments, people are more, overfed and undernourished. So we eat a lot,
but it's
not
not
getting
nourished.
nutrients. In the rural zone, that's like malnutrition itself is a problem. Overfeeding is very rarely a problem there, right? So it's two different challenges to tackle from the solutions perspective.
No, I think that's one food for thought. When you're talking about rural areas, even the accessibility of the kind of nutritional food needs to be taken. Okay, probably that kind of food should be available to them at that point of time. So I think that needs to be worked across. Okay, so here my last question here would be: what policy changes are needed to ensure sustained improvement in women's health and well-being? From you doing iThrive, what are your thoughts? That what are the some changes which are required in the sector?
First, though, they should take away GST from any service provider who's offering services at the broadest policy level. No, I tell you why. What happens is someone comes. See, you go to a hospital, you go to a doctor when you're experiencing something acute, like something has really gone wrong. That's when you reach out to a doctor or a hospital. Most of the lifestyle diseases are not that acute. They're more chronic and an everyday issue. Like there you want someone who's going to support you with diet and nutrition and lifestyle changes and all of that. But unfortunately in India, all these category of services get taxed the same as any other service provider. Now if you truly want to make a difference in someone's health as a government, as a administrator of a certain population, you should make it easier for them to access these services, no? It's like take away the things that is going to make the access a little more inhibitory. Secondly, as organizations, if we could offer incentives, like that's something that we do at iThrive at a organizational policy level, not at a country policy level. But we have a program called Health Incentives. So above and beyond the salary, if someone, let's say, initially it was even like if you had a gym membership, or if you were doing blood tests, or if you were like buying supplements, like you were doing anything to take care of your health, and you were spending on that, we have a monthly health incentive policy where against the invoice we're going to pay you out, and for most people it was a pretty substantial amount.
Okay.
What that did is, instead of a punishment-based approach, ki, oh, you're sick and therefore your performance is getting impacted, like you take too many leaves and you're not going to get an appraisal and everything, we started rewarding the kind of behavior we wanted to see. So you do these things, you get extra money. What that does immediately is like, let me get, because everyone likes incentive. Who doesn't like them, right? So to get that, then they would do this, and then once you start doing it, you get hooked on to feeling better, feeling healthier. So we made that change. At an organization level, again, if there's a culture of health from the top down, like leadership itself inculcates that.
Absolutely.
Also.
It has to flow from top down. It has to flow from top down. If you want your teams to be motivated for fitness, it has to come from top. नहीं तो वो नहीं होगा.
So health के around, create a culture around health within the company, right? At a policy level, like amongst all your other values, why not make health one of the core values? Because I mean, the data is very clear. If you have a workforce that is struggling with health, any kind of chronic health conditions, you are going to have economic losses. There is no doubt about it. You cannot say that, no, I'm going to focus on productivity but not think about people's health, because how they show up to work is really what they're going to bring to their workplace. So, bringing a culture based on health at an organizational level, bring in policies that would motivate behaviors towards health, de-incentivize behaviors that take you away from health. So, like when I was in HR many years ago, like in a lot of these tech companies, this 3 p.m. chai sutta break would happen. And then the chai sutta break, what would happen? A lot of the managers would go, and then a lot of decisions would get taken there. Like, बातें करते करते, अच्छा ये इस प्रोजेक्ट का ऐसे कर लेंगे, we'll do this, we'll do that. So I would often notice that even new joinees and all, because they want to feel part of a group, because they want to be part of that decision making process, they will join the chai sutta gang, and over time they become
They
smokers.
get into that habit. Right.
So one thing that we have done at iThrive, as in we have very few smokers in this 51 wala team. But even the 2-3 who are there, we're like, okay, if you are addicted and if you can't get rid of the behavior, if you need to smoke sometime during the day, you're going to go alone and smoke and come. You're not going to do this in groups. No.
Good.
Yeah, sometimes you feel running a school, but what to do? So it de-incentivizes that behavior, because see, the chai sutta thing becomes bigger and bigger if the group becomes bigger and everyone is sitting and talking. Here we are saying no. Again, at a policy level, if we encourage people to have like good, work-life balance again has been a misused word now, but if we say that, okay, no one's really working beyond this time because you all need to sleep on time, you need to come fresh to office. Now, if you just pass have those conversations, bring that in, it really helps at an organizational level, because that's what is going to seep into everyone's mind. At a government policy, country policy level, maybe reduce the cost of testing, give subsidiaries to labs where people can go and get blood work done more frequently, stay in shape. But I think we're lucky in India, at least we have this open access to healthcare. We can choose which doctors, which hospitals, we can walk into any lab, get any kind of test done, from the most advanced imaging scans to whatever blood test you want.
The facilities today,
lived
the best of hospitals and the facilities to look after.
I have lived abroad and I couldn't get blood test done. Like for someone like me who's my thing is I want to check the impact of this supplement and all. I couldn't get blood test done when I was in Toronto. Once my daughter had this eye pain, school called and said she's complaining that her eyes are hurting. Can you please come and take her? And then we took her to the hospital, to the emergency hospital emergency room. By the time she was diagnosed, seen by a doctor for a 5.5-year-old child who was experiencing eye pain, 8 hours. We had to wait 8 hours for a doctor to just see her eye and then tell us and she was like, it's over, mama, let's just go home. It's all she was so I just want to go home. I'm like, no, you said your eyes were hurting, I want to find out why. So it's really bad in other countries. India, we are blessed. We can choose the hospital we want to go to. We can choose which lab we want to get blood tests done from. We can get all sorts of tests done. It's just that if the cost for testing and again at a policy level, if FSSAI could just chill and help us, let us make good quality supplements, we'll be very, very happy. So if someone from FSSAI is watching, please, this is a message for you.
So this would go live. So we will make sure that it goes.
So, like it's too archaic, their approval process and their understanding of good quality supplements and ingredients, and it gets in the way of supporting people with their health.
No, I think very, very interesting discussion here. Last, I would just like to have some closing statement from you for our audience, where you can talk about health, fitness, self-love. So some closing statement from you.
So, where do I start it? It starts with that thing like you want a better life for yourself. Like you should really want something good for yourself, and all the other things will fall into place. But for every woman, here is my recommendation. One is please just get sunlight every day, because that's also like our connection to source and that pure light energy which powers us. A lot of us are super scared about like skin darkening and everything again because of programming and social conditioning. But a lot of women are vitamin D deficient. It affects our bones. It later results in osteoporosis. It makes old age really difficult. So if you can start your day with sun, you'll feel really good about yourself. If you can invest 5 minutes in just quiet meditation with just letting yourself absorb your thoughts and good music, eat clean food instead of just ordering in all of the time. And before you sleep every night, like for me, this has been one of the most important practices. No matter what I do through the day, even if I've forgotten to make my lunch, like I said, and I'm ordered from outside, before I sleep, I really thank my body for taking care of me throughout the day. And I want to do so many things with my mind. Like my mind is always like, ye karna hai, wo. But it's because my body cares for me and supports me and allows me to do everything that I can sleep well in the night with a sense of satisfaction कि आज के दिन में अच्छा किया कुछ. So that gratitude for my body, I really say that to my body every night before sleeping, that thank you. कैसे भी मैंने अगर ट्रीट, मैं भूल भी गई, तुमको पानी पीना था और मैं भूल गई, चलो कभी दिन में, I might have treated you badly today, but thank you for still taking care of me. So that's one practice.
Wow.
Just giving a
very, very impressive and a very thoughtful discussion. Few pointers from me, before we close on this. I personally believe in self-love. So मैं generally लोगों को ये बोलती हूँ, I'm my favorite. So for me, I have got into a practice right now where I want to take care of myself before I can take care of the rest of the client around me. Reason behind, I have realized now कि जब तक तुम अपना ध्यान नहीं रखोगे, तुम तब तक सबका अपने किसी को देख भी नहीं सकते हो. You can't take care of your spouse, you can't take care of your kids, you can't take care of parents, you can't take care of work unless and until you're mentally fit and strong. So please, self-love is more important. It might sound selfish, but उसके बिना आपका काम नहीं चल सकता है. So some thoughts, where I was generally thinking about to put it to the audience today, that stop comparing yourself to others. You are,
yeah, super important.
absolutely, yeah. Every individual is different. So you can't compare yourself to others. You are unique. So stay like that and don't worry about what people think. Because I generally believe कि अगर लोग क्या सोचेंगे वो भी आप ही को सोचना है तो लोग क्या करेंगे.
This is like the best line I've heard all day, like the best.
हमारे साथ जनरली टेंडेंसी यही होती है कि अगर ऐसा हो गया तो लोग क्या सोचेंगे. मतलब that what will people do यार, अगर वो भी तुम्हें ही सोचना है कि लोग क्या
काम क्यों करना है ना बैठ के,
उनको भी तो कुछ काम देना चाहिए ना करने के लिए. So that's important for them. And allow yourselves to do mistakes. मतलब people learn from their mistakes. तो किसी चीज से भी ये सोच के नहीं हटना चाहिए कि अगर गलत हो, it's okay यार. मतलब you can go wrong. You're a human. You can go wrong. You will go wrong. You will pick it up next time and build it up again. But just because not starting a thing with the fear that you can go wrong, that's a wrong way to approach on. And lastly, please start taking your own decisions. You are strong enough to take your own decisions. You don't need stamp from your parents or from your spouse that, if you have a thought process, discuss. There's no harm in discussing it. But if you strongly feel about something, go for it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mukta, for joining in. It was an amazing session. And we really look forward to a lot more discussions.
This is really beautiful and such well thought through questions, and I hope I did justice to them and like I gave answers that would be useful to like the audience and to you also, Sonal. But thank you so much.
Very, very interesting discussion, and I hope people carry a lot of messages and good things from here on self-care, on health, because I think that's one thing which all of us have to think about it today. Right. Thank you so much.
All right, sure, lovely.
Thank you so much, Mukta ma'am. Thank you so much, Sonal ma'am, for taking out time and addressing the audience. I'm sure everyone enjoyed this session. There was a lot of takeaways. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you so much, Vishal.
And
Please take
really
care.
look forward to welcome you in our future events.
Right. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks so much. Thanks. Bye bye.